Let's talk about a super investor today, and that would be Cathie Wood and her anticipation of where the market's going to go. I think you guys don't want to miss this one. My name is Schwab. Welcome back in the Tech Path. Let's get rolling. I do want to thank our sponsor, that's Coinbase, for you guys to get moving in the crypto market. Maybe you're brand new to crypto right now and you haven't even made your first trade and you're thinking, oh, Bitcoin's back over 100K. Now is my time to enter into the market. Well, do it on Coinbase. Just go over to Coinbase.com. The future of money is here. It is the most trusted place for people to buy and sell and use crypto. So just use our link down below. It does help us out and also gets you up to $200 in crypto when you make your trade. So check it out. You guys get started. I want to lead off with, if you guys will remember, this is the Robinhood chart right now of where it was even on the all-time high. So it's nearing an all-time high of its overall life in the S&P. A lot of things have been happening with Robinhood. We've outlined many of these things. And of course, Cathie Wood is one of the key investors in Robinhood. If you kind of look at the potential here, are we maybe just in a very small move to the upside for Robinhood? That's what a lot of people are anticipating, is they have energized their deposit mechanism, meaning now, and this I think is up till July 7th, where if you're depositing cryptos, you're going to be able to double that boost. So instead of 1%, now you're getting a 2% yield. So if you're an XRP holder, you could literally get 2% on all your XRP right now just by depositing in before July 7th. Now, that's not an ad for Robinhood, but what it's pointing at is that they're sucking out a lot of baseline assets into their business. And I think this is something that you have to pay attention to overall. If you look at Robinhood's performance, and let me kind of zoom in on this right here. This is an example of data that was breaking down Robinhood and Charles Schwab since 2021. Now, 21, remember, a lot of things happened then, but Robinhood was not necessarily gaining money. Charles Schwab pretty much holding steady. And then all of a sudden, 2024, Robinhood broke in and started moving. Schwab, though, on the other hand, has been somewhat sideways. And if you're not going up, is this just a precursor to what could be the future of investing, and that is maybe something like Robinhood. Right now, Schwab is holding at 162 billion. So you imagine where Robinhood is right now, around 70 billion at its current all-time high. What could that look like if it is in fact replacing some of the stalwarts of Wall Street? And I think that's something that you have to kind of follow along. One area that you have to also consider is how some of the analysts, and including Cathie Wood, are responding to this stuff. I want to play a clip for you because this is where it shows a little bit about what Cathie Wood is doing. Take a look.
The number one super investor is Michael Burry. Cathie Wood has really shot up the rankings. And earlier in the year, she was quite low. She's like below the S&P line. First, her biggest holding is the biggest loser in her portfolio, and that's Tesla. But once we get away from Tesla, she has made a lot of money on Circle. She's made 139% rate of return, $289 million. Go Cathie Wood. The second most profitable stock is Roblox, up 77%. She really believes in that company. It's made her $201 million. Whew, and good for her.
So from that clip, first of all, it's Roblox, not Roblox. But point being is that when you look at Cathie Wood's performance, that particular video was looking at a six-day performance. If you look at where it is today, this, of course, is, guess who? Michael Burry, who was just ahead of her. And now with the S&P 500 up 50%, again, since Burry told us to sell. Remember those ominous statements from Michael Burry? It's time, this is the end, this is the top. That's the point that we're getting at. So this is why I think you've got to start to pay attention to Cathie Wood. She now has excelled past what could be as the best investor right now on Wall Street. And a lot of the moves are making a lot more sense if you look at her trades of Tesla. She's been selling Tesla mostly, but you also have to look at her other moves. Here, of course, is Circle. Now she's selling Circle after this blow off top. Whether Circle continues, but it's a good move for her because she's taking those profits and repositioning and balancing those into some other assets. And then, of course, what is she going into? Well, right now, she's looking at Robinhood. There's two buys right there, both on June 20th and 23rd. And these are increasing her position significantly. I mean, this is going up from like a 6% position to almost a 9% position. That's a big move in a portfolio like what ARK is doing. So a lot of key moves here for sure. If you look at Coinbase, also recent buys. So both 23rd in 2 days right there again. Position though, not necessarily that great because she had been selling off a lot of that over time. But the point is, again, moving into Coinbase. Shopify, buy. And I think this is one that will continue to position strongly. Granted, again, not a large position, but definitely one. And I'll explain why this is important in a minute, because there is a breakdown of a new S&P top 25 that may be very interesting, especially around Ethereum, and we'll talk about that. The other thing you got to look at, of course, is Block. And this is Square, company that we thought was going to be the Shopify, but in fact was not. You know, obviously they had a lot to do with Bitcoin, missed the boat there. Most of this has been sell positions literally all year long since back in May. So positioning out of XYZ. Is this something that she is watching right now? This event, which happens in just a couple days, June 30th, is the one that everybody's been waiting for. It's the one that Vlad has been promising. So if he doesn't drop a major bomb on the market, I would be very, very disappointed. And I'm kind of curious, does maybe Cathie have a little bit of insider information here about where is going to be done? Other things to look at is what's going on right here, because you look at Robinhood, see you at ECC in a week. That's also timed in with when this event is occurring. And you look at that along with this right here. Robinhood has reported developing a blockchain-based platform on stock trading for Europe. And everybody knows what that means. It's that right there, Arbitrum. Arbitrum is the one to watch. We believe that's probably going to be the selection. If it's not, and we do see something on Solana or something of that nature, key here is that they're moving very aggressively into tokenized stocks, and that's the key going forward. Now I want to go to a clip real quick, because this is where it gets into the top 25 Nasdaq in the next several years. Things are shaking up a little bit based on this analyst review. Take a look.
And there's going to be some changes.
So who are the half a dozen winners that replace them then?
So we looked at the, let's say, top 25 companies and what happens to them every 5 years. And some of them just drop out. They run fast, but they don't run as fast as the others. Then you've got some new IPOs that come in. And so we try to recombine the index and imagine what's, we're here today, Nasdaq 100. What's the Nasdaq 100 5 years out?
And who's on it then?
I thought you were going to ask me who's not on it.
Well, we can do who's not on it.
I just thought some of the big companies are going to be amazingly positioned.
We'll show you who's on it. Microsoft leading the way right there. NVIDIA, of course, kind of typical. Bitcoin, not necessarily. Remember, this is 2030, so not necessarily the big winner, but it is number 3 just because of the size of the market cap there. In terms of X's of what you'll gain there, Meta, TSMC, Tesla, OpenAI, Oracle. And then the one that I'm looking at is number 15 right there. It is Ethereum. Could become, and this would be huge. Others to follow along in this list, things like Shopify. This, of course, will be very driven around stablecoin growth, I think. We'll also see areas that you look further in there is XAI. Uber, of course, we'll see if whether or not they make it. But Binance and Revolut, both finance companies, Binance not public yet. Point being is that there's a lot of shakeup right now. Who's missing here, guys? Well, you've got a couple big ones right now, and that is Google and Apple. Apple is the one that I think is the most disappointing in terms of what its capabilities are for future growth. I think I would agree with Chamath Palihapitiya, who said that he thinks it's just a cash cow now, and eventually they're just not going to be building anything and just riding those waves out. And this is not going to help it much. And that, of course, is Open Apps Market Act has been introduced in the United States. What this simply means is that when this goes into play, it's over for Apple in terms of an app store. And I think the percentage, we've already talked about this many times here on the show, is the Apple tax is going to be eliminated. It will set the stage of a completely new ecosystem starting to be developed for tech. All right, so if you take a look at Ethereum, and you think about its ecosystem, and if it becomes the app store of the future, a payment architecture, it starts to have a lot of similarities to the early days of Apple. And if you compare that to where ETH is today versus Apple today, Apple right now, that would set ETH's market price at around $25,000. All right, I want to jump to another clip here. This is going to get into other areas that I think are being disrupted, and this is comparing DraftKings and Polymarket. Take a look.
DraftKings in particular is trading 22, 23 times EBITDA. Several states have raised online gambling taxes here in the last few months. But the most underappreciated thing is that Kalshi has made its way through. And the problem with Kalshi is not that it's so big yet. They're in California and Texas now acquiring those customers that if DraftKings and FanDuel were ever to get to, they would cost them a lot to get back. So it's not a huge part of the market yet, but it's enough to make my antennas go up and take a little money off the table here.
Polymarket today, this is a competitor. They're raising money at $1 billion valuation. They're backed by Peter Thiel's Founders Fund. They're leading that round today. So it seems like, yeah, VC did back, DraftKings and FanDuel and that sort of thing, but they're coming for a different model right now. So it'll be interesting. A lot more competition.
Remember, we did a video a while ago that identified this phenomenon that was happening, is that Polymarket would displace the sports betting models. DraftKings obviously is the one that could take the most hit. Here's Cathie's positioning right now on DraftKings. If you look at that all over time, all of these have been sells getting into where the market is right now. And I think to the point that a lot of these analysts are kind of getting at is that Polymarket really is kind of the next generation. And I think we are seeing that kind of growth. This is Polymarket, again, calling the New York election, and they did it faster than traditional TV. Traditional media. You look at the growth side of things, just to give you an example, this of course was the election, yes, but the point is that it's continuing to move up the charts in terms of growth and popularity. That means one thing, guys, and that is that prediction markets are definitely here to stay, and it could start to disrupt a lot of what we've seen in this sector over the next few years. So be on the lookout for that. Other things I want to hit on right here is that the House members, including the Majority Whip, are now doubling down on packaging the Genius Act with the Market Structure Act, all of this ahead of voting. So if this gets into the scenario that Peterson is talking about right here, is that the path in the House would be that the Genius Act would have to be accompanied by the Clarity Act. Guys, this would be an absolute huge move in the space right now in terms of crypto, blockchain, the evolution of a lot of these companies that are starting to position, including an IPO from Circle. All of this very positive going forward if it does happen, and I think this is the key that we got to keep an eye on. One last clip I want to get to is the debate of stablecoins, and this is happening from old school investors in a way that they understand this, and this is, I'll get to the point after of why this is a big deal, but watch this clip. See what you guys think.
It could cause economic chaos. Explain why you say that.
Well, number one, we would have different dollar coins, all worth different numbers of dollars, different amounts. So every single...
Wait, I thought they were supposed to be actually pegged to the dollar.
They are supposed to be, but whether that will be the reality or not is a real question. You would have to pull out the equivalent of a phone book and check each and every coin, each and every issuer.
But wouldn't it be possible to create a stable coin that actually was pegged to the dollar?
It is possible in principle. The question is, will it be true in practice? They certainly haven't prevented banks from failing in the past.
Well, wait, if they haven't prevented banks or money market funds occasionally from failing, and why is this any different?
So people who hold and use stablecoins are going to be more nervous. They're going to run.
The financial system that we have now is really, it seems to me, archaic. It's very hard for me to make small transactions digitally, to have to put them on a Visa or a MasterCard. Isn't it necessary to find some way to have a digital currency?
Well, the transaction you do with your Visa or your MasterCard is a digital transaction. You get a package of services from your credit card company. You get fraud protection.
But wait. Those are only available to people, privileged people like me and you who have credit cards. What about most Americans who are unbanked? They don't have credit cards.
We don't have a big problem of financial inclusion.
So Walmart, let's say it does something like a Walmart coin. Why wouldn't I trust Walmart as much as I might even trust, a money market fund to say, okay, I'll put some stored value into Walmart coins?
It may start with Walmart, but it won't end with Walmart. I think CBDC, a central bank issued, would be a better way to go.
What do you think the House could do to change it that would make you feel more comfortable with this concept?
I don't think there's a lot that would make me feel more comfortable. It's called a central bank digital currency. China has done it.
But I think the questions are being asked, as you saw the PBS reporter kind of going in on that, is that the questions are being asked in the sense that it's a dynamic shift right now that's happening within the market, and definitely them and other investors starting to understand how, stablecoins truly work, I think are going to be very eye-opening, because most of what they're misunderstanding there, in most cases of everything that proponent had to say, was inaccurate. And I think that is something that is going to start to come to light, especially with Circle's popularity and also with its success, but also with this Stablecoin Act, and especially with banks coming into the game. It's going to start getting a lot more people involved. So just consider that. I think this is one. Of course, Ethereum is really the one that we believe is going to be the winner here. So first of all, if you guys are not in our Diamond Circle, you guys can join that. It's very easy to do. Just click the link down below. It's free. And if you're not following me out there on X, do that. It's @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.